From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this recording, we'll go over that monthly stimulus check and why the Democrats are likely to give you more months of checks. Then we cut to the recon. A done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people. This is the biggest payout we've seen in many, many months. Fortunes of checks, 3.5 trillion of them, and I'll go over them in the second part of this video. Then we cut to the voting. It's Saturday, and at the time of this live broadcast, Congress will be back in session, passing one of the two paths in the Senate. I'll go over what the breaking news is about the voting happening right at the time of this live broadcast, and what this means for you and your money. Then we cut to fifth stimulus, which starts in less than 3 weeks away, and it raises your benefits up if you're on SSI and SSDI. It's just a few weeks away, and I have all the incredible great news. Then one viewer got upwards of $50,000 from this channel, and I have a big update for you as well. You're going to be really excited when you hear his update. It's a big morning and it's a big day. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here, and this is Mornings LALATE. It's Saturday morning here alive in Santa Monica, and hope you're having a beautiful day. It's absolutely paradise here at the moment. The weather is spectacular. It's been great since the last 24 hours, and I hope it stays the same way. Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Programming note, at the time of this recording, Congress is actually in session, and they're voting on one of the two passive legislation. I'll have the breaking news in this live broadcast. Stay with me in just a second. First, we cut to fourth stimulus, which raises your benefits up, and this is really where we're headed. Fourth stimulus check. The Democrats want you to have another stimulus check, and I'll go over the latest details and why you're likely to get more checks. Then we cut to the recon. A done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to you. This is one of the biggest payouts we've ever seen in the history of this channel. $3.5 trillion of checks. I'll go over those checks in the second half of this video. Then we cut to the voting, happening minutes ago, and it's happening today. I'll go over what that means for you and when your voting is going to start as well. Then we cut to the surprising details of fifth stimulus, just days away, as it starts in early September for legislating. This raises your benefits up if you're on SSI and SSDI. Then we go to the big surprise that came out of nowhere, and it's this. Viewers are getting massive sums of money, and Mark got $50,000 from this channel, with a big surprise update from him in this recording as well, getting $25,000 for rent, $6,500 for utilities, and $19,000 for SNAP. Wait till you hear the update of his story. You're going to be shocked, and this is LALATE, America's only 24-hour day a week, 7 days financial news channel in America. Live in the morning and taped in the afternoons. Coming up next is Morning's Crypto, live on air as Bitcoin and Ethereum are zooming. They're on fire this morning. And then we back at noontime at 11 a.m. live from Santa Monica. This afternoon, new shows with Afternoons LA at 3 o'clock and an Evenings LA at 5. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. The links under the video. Let's get to those checks starting right now. Senate versus House, House versus Senate. Democrats want you to have a monthly stimulus check. Let's go over all the details starting right now. Pandemic plus 1 year, that is the House bill. Monthly stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year. Senate approach is July to December. Let's go over the payouts. House, $1,000 after the first month. Senate, monthly unknown. But word on the street is the Senate would pay you this. Deliciousness. July to December, $2,000 a month, $12,000, or $14 over 6 months, $8,400. Well, the pandemic is not over, and with the pandemic far from over, with Delta, Delta Plus, and now Lambda at issue, the House bill is the one that pays more checks, pandemic plus 1 year. The House would pay more than 1 year checks, which would be more than 12,000, which would be more than 12 checks, which would be more than $13,000. Compare the House bill to this and the Senate, I think you have an opinion. I think you have an opinion. Jump in the live chat right now and vote House or Senate, House or Senate, and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather this beautiful Saturday morning. Who gets this fourth stimulus check? Democrats represent that. If you got a third, you're getting a fourth. Democrats represent single individuals, 75,000 less, you get a fourth stimulus check. Married couple, 150,000 less, Democrats represent, you get a fourth stimulus check. Double it. Family of four, Democrats represent, you get a fourth stimulus check. Quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Democrats represent, you get a fourth stimulus check, and my veterans. The fourth stimulus check is not income, it's not taxable. The fourth stimulus check would be the same for everyone across the board. And the fourth stimulus check is not a waivable check. And I continually forget. About 2 weeks ago today, I was on the beach recording live for you on location. And one of the viewers said, "Hey, LA, is that the check behind you?" I said, "Where? Where?" "Oh, there it is." Hey, check. And the viewer said, "LA, wave of the check." I said, "Really?" "Yeah, wave at the check." "Okay." "Hey, check, how you doing? It's LALATE." The check didn't wave back. Rude check. The viewer said, "No, it's not a rude check, LA. It's not a waivable check. I've seen your videos." You set me up. And there you go. In the second half of this video, we'll be going over the recon. Done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to you. This is a fortune of checks. Bernie Sanders fought a generation to get you these checks. You should be doing a pair dance at home. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to you. As viewers got 20, 30,000 under third stimulus, guess how many checks you're going to get under fourth stimulus? It's coming up in the second half of this video. Then we cut to the voting that's happening right now at the time of this broadcast. In fact, it just started 2 minutes ago. I have the latest details happening from Congress and when your voting starts as well. It's breaking news you're going to hear for the first time on this morning's LA broadcast. It's the final 15 minutes of this video. Stay at the very end. But first, let's get some money. Boy, you're going to be surprised by this update. I am. I'm just flabbergasted by it. I just never recorded anything like this. Wait till you see what I have to say to you. So when I started recording videos a few weeks ago, I said I can get you $5,000 of rent, 46 months of rent, $5,000. I was wrong. I can't get you $5,000. Sorry. I can get you $27,000. Elizabeth got $27,000 for rent. Mark, $25,000. Nancy, $24,000. Richard, $22,000. Nisi, $20,000. Other viewers like Pamela got $12,000 for rent. Carla got multiple items. Tiffany got $13,000 for rent and other items. Randy got $6,000 for rent and other items. And then Jennifer got $5,000 for rent and other items. And Cecilia got money as well. When I talked about utilities, I said I can get you $300 approximately for utilities. No, it's not $300. It's $7,000. Wow. Nancy got $7,000 for utilities for this channel. From watching these videos, from being a Purple Hawk, by becoming a member, links underneath the video, by becoming a subscriber, watching these videos and understanding what we're talking about. Mark got $6,500. Angela got $6,500 for utilities. And then when we talk about SNAP, which is money for food, I said I could get you $5,000 to $6,000 for SNAP because some of the viewers were getting it. And then this happened. Wow. $18,000 for SNAP obtained by Louie, $10,000 to $12,000 by John, and $5,000 for Nancy. And then finally, people getting multiple sums of money. Are you ready for this massive, massive revelation? Here you go. Bam. Wow. Nancy, $32,000 for 3 items. Mark, $32,000 for 2 items. And Nisi, $23,000 for 3 items. But then the surprise of a lifetime happening overnight. Yesterday and the day before, I referred to it as Mark 1 and Mark 2. I thought it was a different person. Because, I just have a couple viewers. There's more than one Mark that watches me. And I thought it was a different Mark. I thought it was a different Mark. So you saw that I had the final graphic that's Mark, and I thought it was a different Mark. Here's what happened. If you remember over about the last 2 weeks, in the last graphic, I show you Mark got 2 items, $32,000. And I would joke, I would say, I would be facetious. I would say, Mark, you only got $32,000 with 2 items. Go get some SNAP. Remember that? I made that video a couple times. I said, Mark, go get the third item, get the SNAP. Well, it was the same Mark. It wasn't a different Mark. It was the same Mark. He watched me say on air over the last week, Mark, go get some SNAP. You only got $32,000. Go get some SNAP. We'll get to $40,000. And guess what he did? He went and got some SNAP. And this is the same Mark, $50,000. He was at $32,000 just a few days ago. Mark was at $32,000 just a few days ago when I told him go get some Snap, and I made all those recordings joking that he was only at $32,000. He needs to go get some Snap also. He went and got $19,000 of Snap in the last few days because of my videos, bringing his grand total not to $40,000 as I thought he could get to it. He got it to $50,000. And if that is the power of the purple, what is it? It is incredible. And folks, this is LA. Boy, I've never seen anything like this. In spring of last year, I launched this channel because people's EIDL loans and EIDL grants were not getting approved. And I stepped in and I got viewers $25 million of EIDL loans approved. Handheld people through the application process, save their businesses, save their homes, and save their employees' homes. It's just life-changing. Then in fall of 2020, second stimulus is not coming. People were waiting for the check. It wasn't happening. But I stepped forward. I got viewers $250,000 of rent. Tyrone, his family out of Boston, got $15,000 for rent, paid all their rent from December to the spring. But now we're doing it again. The only difference is you. You're getting enormous sums of money that I've never seen in the history of this channel. So get a pen and paper ready right now, because if you've not gotten all these 3 items, I want you to get them starting right now. Get a pen and paper ready. We're going to go over different places, and we're going to start with the items. We're going to get some rent, utilities, food, internet, mortgage assistance, and homeowners utilities. Each place I'm going to show you I want you to reach out to. They all have different eligibility. If one says no, reach out to the next. Also, they all have their own pot of money. Finally, listen to the keywords, because viewers tell me the keywords really make a big difference for them. All right, you ready? You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city house authority, your county hall, your county house authority, your state hall, your state house authority. Keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. You don't say words they don't know, like stimulus or Mitch McConnell's fan club. Doesn't exist. And there you go. Congratulations to everyone who got rent and utilities. And congratulations to also Tim and Linda who got as well. If you're in the live chat, post your success stories for rent and utilities right now. Let's turn to Snap. And yeah, Mark got $19,000 for Snap in the last week. John got it 2 weeks ago for $10,000 to $12,000. Louis got $18,000. Lynn Glenn got it for herself, her son and mom, and Gail got it as well. What is Snap? It's money for food. How do you get it? Department of Agriculture. Reach out to them and get it. How much does it pay? A lot. Eligibility is easier than a stimulus check. A family of 4 out of Hawaii gets upwards of $16,000 a year. Why so much money? Because of 2 wonderful executive orders. One from Biden, one from Trump, that raise your benefits up 15% between now and December. So go get it. And if you got in Snap as well, post a live chat right now. And we're killing it. We're only 12 minutes of this video, and we're rocking and rolling. We've gotten $27,000 for rent, $19,000 for Snap, $7,000 for utilities, and we're just getting started. The next pile of money is the refund check coming back from your state due to overpayment and unemployment benefits and a computer error. Where's the landing direct deposit? How do you track it? Contact your state. Say, hi, state. I'm looking for that check due to computer error and unemployment benefits that you asked me to pay back to you. The federal government has ordered it back to me. So can you track it with a computer? And this time when you do, can you plug in the keyboard? It just sort of helps. You look at the screen, it's like nothing's moving. Plug in the keyboard. It works. And then finally, the last pile of the money is the refund check coming back from IRS. Cod got it. Michael got it. Lynn got it as well. Margaret got it. Where is it landing? Let's go over all the details. But first, sorry, Mitch, it's a waivable check. Yeah, IRS confirms it's coming in waves. The average check of this wave is $1,265. Deliciousness. Mark also got this one as well. Direct deposits for this wave start July 14th. Paper checks July 16th. There's a new wave every week this summer. But boy, before I continue, here's a personal message for you. If you're in the live chat and you haven't posted your success stories for rent, utility, mortgage, or homeowners assistance, please do. Because the spirit of this channel is me helping you and you helping others. And when you post that, you help other viewers 3 different ways. First, when they see you getting the money, I don't care if it's $100, I don't care if it's $10,000, you inspire other people to get the money, because then they realize, wait a second, people are getting Snap I should go get that SNAP. People are getting rent. I should go get that rent. So they see other people getting the money, inspires them. So post your success stories. Number 2, you see someone like an Art Sullivan who got 3 items and Nisi early on getting 3 items. And now you see what that did for viewers like Mark. Mark had 2 items at 32,000. And I was joking over the last week that Mark should not sit back and be happy with 32,000. He should persevere and get the 3rd item. And Mark did, and absolutely blew it out of the ballpark, going and getting the 3rd item like Nisi and Art Sullivan did, and bringing that 3rd item, Snap, into the mix, bringing the grand total to 50,500. Finally, it updates us about the money and the big numbers across the board. All right, so with that, how much unemployment benefits are you getting back? Let's go over the example. Let's say you had $9,000 of unemployment benefits. You pay $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, you're getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. Can you track it? Yeah. Go to irs.gov and do a transcript search. 70% of the time it works. It'll reveal the tax return you filed and the taxes you paid. It also reveals stuff you never knew. Some stuff you don't want to know. It'll reveal when Ron Portman was on Dancing with the Stars. Was that Ron Wyden or Ron Portman? And which one was the taller one? And then it'll reveal the refund check came back from IRS 70% of the time. Can we top that? We can. As we go into the second part of your Four Stimulus battleground, starting right now. Done. Deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to you under the Four Stimulus recon. Now, the recon is all checks. And as you've seen from these viewers just now, like Nancy and Nisi and Mark, checks are checks. If you got bills around the house and the federal government wants to pay your bills, you should be celebrating. And guess what? That's what the Fourth Stimulus is all about. Them paying your bills. And if they pay some of your bills, but they don't pay the other part of the bills, who cares? You get as many of the bills paid for you. And guess what? This Fourth Stimulus recon is much bigger than the Third Stimulus recon. And you just saw the viewers getting $30,000 to $50,000 under Third Stimulus recon. Get ready for the behemoth of $3.5 trillion of checks coming to you under the Fourth Stimulus recon. The Democratic caucus has agreed, senators have agreed in the last 2 weeks twice, that the passing of the Fourth Stimulus recon. How did they achieve this? By taking roads and bridges out of the recon around July 4th, because before July 4th, it had roads and bridges in there. Chuck Schumer said we were going to be done by July 4th. We couldn't be done because the Democrats didn't want the roads and bridges in there. They took it out and made the recon passable. Now the recon and the bipartisan will both be passed. How do we get to this wonderful spot? By taking those roads and bridges out and making both items of legislation passable. A conservative publication confirms my recent reporting. The higher the price tag was on the recon before, the harder it was to pass. There you go, confirmation. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the spending from the recon, roads and bridges, and put it into the bipartisan, the overall price tag of the recon got smaller, obviously. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable. It's also the reverse. Your recon also made the bipartisan passable. How did they do this? Once the recon shrunk, by taking the roads and bridges out and putting in the bipartisan, the Democratic progressives were able to add some more money back in and make it big and bold enough. And that big, bold number is $3.5 trillion. And that's where they wanted to land. The progressives were meeting with the White House daily, the Progressive Caucus, and they got it. Congratulations, $3.5 trillion. Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat, Minnesota, progressive, said, we have to have a recon that goes as far as we want it. You got it, $3.5 trillion. And Representative Richie Torres said, we have to have a large enough recon. You got it, Richie, $3.5 trillion. Now, how did they achieve this? By protecting the recon. The president had told the progressives, Jalapal and others, to protect the recon because everything in there is checks for you, progressive checks. And Schatz confirms that the White House said that the progressive priorities in the recon are the White House's own priorities. Now, we started this week with the president saying, I am not going to extend the eviction moratorium. I just don't think it'll hold up in court. Sorry, that's it. Well, how did we end this week? We ended this week with Cori Bush, Democrat, progressive, 1st District of Missouri, St. Louis, saying, I'm not going to roll over and say no and just call it a day. I'm going to push back. And she fought and fought, had a Capitol Hill sit-in, more about that later in this video, and she got the eviction moratorium extended. How did she do this? By working hand in hand with the president, who is very working hand in hand with the progressives for getting you big sums of money. So what is a recon? How does a recon get voted on? What is the legislation? Who writes it? Let's go over all the details starting right now. I use two words on this channel, recon and bipartisan, but broadcast media sometimes butchers the words. One of my favorite anchors, Andrew Sorkin, on Thursday, referred to it as the $3.5 trillion infrastructure. No, that's the $3.5 trillion recon. They're two different bodies of legislation. So let's go over the separation of the two so you don't get confused. The recon is your money. It's also called reconciliation. It's also called the budget bill. Price tag $3.5 trillion. People quoted an article about it are a Bernie or an AOC. Bipartisan, not your money. This is the roads and bridges, also called infrastructure. Price tag less than $1.5 trillion. People quoting an article about it are Kristen Sinema, Ron Portman, or Mitt Romney. All right. Who writes a recon? A recon is written by Democrats for Democrats to be passed by Democrats. And as we get to the finish line just days from now, it's important for me to repeat something that's so obvious, but important for you to know. On the Senate side, not a single Republican will vote in favor of the recon. All Republicans will vote against the recon. All Democrats will vote in favor of the recon, all 50 of 50, with the tie-breaking vote coming from the vice president, who sits as the president of the Senate. That is why it's important to say, I don't care what the Republicans do, because they have nothing to do with passing the recon. So who writes the recon? The recon is written actually by House subcommittees. Under the Constitution, the subcommittees are separated from subject matter. So, for example, the House Ways and Means Subcommittee is responsible for stimulus checks and unemployment benefits. When each of those subcommittees are done, they send their pages up to Chuck. So let's say we have 10 subcommittees with 10 pages. They send them up to Chuck, 100 pages. He combines it. He puts a big S on it for Schumerish, salty, sugary, seductive, Laverne and Shirley. No, for Senate. And that is your recon bill. Now, as we sit here on Saturday morning, we still do not have the recon bill. So if you hear someone say, I haven't heard of this in there, guess what? We don't have the bill yet. We have an emoji, not bill yet. And the reason why is because under the Constitution, we're not allowed to see or required to see or have to be disclosed what they're doing in those subcommittees. When they debut the recon, however, it's not law yet. And this is something I'm going to hit very hard over later in this video, is the recon bill may debut today. It may debut tomorrow. If not, it's going to debut Monday or Tuesday. And it's not law yet. As Cori Bush changed the position of the president, ending the eviction moratorium, and then reinstituting within a few days, things change. And this will actually change a lot. More about that in a second. So how do we get to this wonderful spot? By Jolapal writing Schumer a letter saying, Chuck, call the vote on the recon. Well, guess what? The voting on the recon is just hours away. Can you imagine? That letter was signed by 12 House Democrats who are part of the 100 plus, yes, 100, who recently wrote the president a letter saying, we're going to be putting monthly forced stimulus checks in the forced stimulus package. Wow. Can we top that? Yes. As 7 members of that House Ways and Means Subcommittee. The same one we just talked about? Yeah, the same one we just talked about. Recently wrote the president a letter saying, we're going to be putting monthly forced stimulus checks in the forced stimulus package. Wow, Purple Power, you got to keep them to their promise. You have to push and keep them to their promise. They also represent they're giving you a 5th stimulus check next year. Wow, can we top that? We can. As Biden did it 6 weeks ago today, he went overseas and had a ceremonial signature. But the real signature, the lawful signature, was just a few days ago. It's for something that's confusing that does not belong on the recon. And because it's not on the recon, it makes the recon easier to pass. It's something called the Global Minimum Corporate Tax Rate Minimum. Oh, that's exhausting. I want to go take a nap. It's just an exhausting thing. And that's why it's great news. One, it's easier to write the recon because it's not in there. Easier to vote on the recon because it's not in there. Easier to call the vote because it's not in there. And easier to pass the recon because this confusing thing is not in there. And can we top that? We can. As we go into the final 15 minutes of this video, I'll be breaking down all the details that are happening live in Congress in the Senate floor right now. It's shortly after 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I'll go over what's happening now, what's happening later today, what's happening tomorrow, and what's happening Monday and Tuesday. Things are moving very quickly, and there's a lot of details in this final 15 minutes. I'll go over the paths, the substance, and the changes. So much coming up in just a second. But first, something more wonderful than that, even that, is the volunteers. If you're having problems finding that rent, utilities, food, or internet, and you've made an attempt to look at it, get it, and you can't find it, don't worry. Viewers have stepped forward to help you as well. They're the community page. How do you find the community page? Go down in the description of this video, look for an emoji of a house, click the link, it'll send you to the community page. It's news.lalate.com/community. Has a picture of some kitty cats on there. Lower on the page are the volunteers. Reach out to them. They're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. They'll help you get that big money for rent, utilities, food, and internet. And I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as Mornings LA continues with the breaking news. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And Mornings LA continues right now as the toast is toast and the butter is butter. And I'm here, you're here, and guess what? Congress is in session right now voting to pass in the Senate the roads and bridges. I have the breaking news about this coming up in just a second. And when your money is going to go for a vote next. It's incredible, great news. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit the subscribe button right now. Thank you for all the incredible subscriber growth over the last week. Like the video, 3,000 likes. Every like helps. And consider becoming a Purple Hawk, Purple Power Calcino VIP. Membership link is under the video where it says join here. Thank you for the incredible member growth this week. Some days over 250 members joining in just 24 hours. So join as a member ASAP. Let's cut first to the breaking news about this stimulus, and it's really surprising because guess what? We are less than 3 weeks away from fifth stimulus starting. Fifth stimulus starts in September, and with September just around the corner, this is what the president promised you during the campaign trail, did not deliver. Promised during the transition papers, did not deliver, and now the Democratic members of the Senate and House are doing it for you. It raises your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, and VA benefits. This would start legislating in September, out to a vote about November, then raising your benefits up in November, applying the benchmark in December for next year's benefits. Let's go over the calculations. Step one, they'll raise your benefit limits up. Then they'll remove the asset limit, add an inflationary benchmark, remove the income exclusion, and remove the marriage penalty. Let's go over how this calculates and what was the breaking news about this week. First, they'll raise your benefits up lifetime. This is you if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, Veterans benefits, SSA or SSDI. Then they'll apply a new benchmark. The new benchmark will be inflation. That inflation rate will be transitory, as Jay Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, said on Capitol Hill. Transitory means it's going to reach a spike and then come back down. Where is that spike going to happen? In December. Yes, perfect timing. The spike will be about 5% is what I'm reporting, maybe a little bit higher. Inflation's running hot. On Afternoons LA today at 3 o'clock, I'll explain to you why the new economic data that came out this week signals that maybe the inflation rate will be even higher. But let's just use 5% for now because of running time on this video. I want to cut to the congressional vote. They're going to raise your benefits up a lifetime, then apply the benchmark. Let's say it's 5%. Your benefits will step up another 5% lifetime because once your benefits step up, They never step down. Then they'll remove the asset cap dating back to a 1980s law. This is you can't have more than $3,000 in hand. Now you'll be able to have some stimulus checks and stay on benefits. They're going to remove the income cap dating back to a 1960s law. This is you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage power is going to go away. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to do a pair dance. You'll be able to get married to your longtime love interest and no longer fear loss of benefits like Rob and Sandy. And if you've been married, your benefits will be restored. Finally, if you're in the live chat and you've not become a member, what are you doing? What viewers have learned from me in these videos is the following. Not to focus on the stimulus check, rather to focus on the biggest payout that the federal government is giving to you in each stimulus package. We all got bills. We all have bills around the house to pay. And if the federal government wants to pay $40,000 of your bills, get them to pay as much of your bills with as many of the items in the stimulus package as possible. Don't focus on the smallest item. Focus on the biggest item. Here's what happened. In fall of 2020, there was a second stimulus package, and it was a $600 stimulus check. I told viewers, do not focus on a $600 check. I said, focus on the $6,000 tenfold that I can get you on a second stimulus. And they did. And Tyrone got $15,000 from this channel. In spring of this year, I launched Purple Hawks. And I said, don't focus on a $1,400 third stimulus check, because the federal government will pick up your money for the other items across the board. And instead of $1,400, you can get $14,000 from this third stimulus package. Well, viewers didn't get $14,000. They got $40,000. $30,000, $50,000, $25,000. They got it routinely. And that's how they understood that each of these stimulus packages have fortunes of money for you to get. We all got bills, but you want the government to pay as much of the bills as you can, and the government's putting these items into these stimulus packages for you to get. So get the biggest payout you can. And finally, when you look at third stimulus, you look at second stimulus, and now you look at fourth stimulus, imagine how much bigger we are now. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to you available under the fourth stimulus package. So consider becoming a member so that you're not focused on just a $600 second stimulus check. You're focused on getting $20, $30, $40, $50,000. The link is under this video right now. And with that, let's go into the final 15, starting right now with that recon. Done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people under the fourth stimulus recon. These are all checks. These are all checks that Bernie Sanders fought a generation to get you. And this recon was agreed to twice by the Democratic senators over the last 2 weeks as to price and passing. What are some of these checks? We're going to see the recon bill any moment, but we also have an initial preview of some of the checks that are also in this recon. It's checks for all of us. Checks for workers, checks for seniors, checks for single individuals, checks of all kinds. Let's go over some of them right now. Free school meals for all checks, tax break checks, cheaper prescription medication checks, immigration reform checks, greener farming checks, election checks, free internet checks. Then we have clean energy checks. Then we have checks for my workers and checks for my seniors. First, the workers, checks for workers, unions, independent contractors, and then checks for my seniors, like lowering eligibility age, Medicare expansion checks, dental checks, vision checks, and hearing care checks. All right, let's cut over to the voting happening right now. At 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which was about 30 minutes ago, the Senate was ordered back into session to start the final voting to pass in the Senate, just the Senate, the bipartisan. The bipartisan bill will be passed by all accounts by the Senate today, Saturday morning. Now, at 3 o'clock today is afternoon's LA. That video was taped before the voting concludes. Noontime LA at 11 a.m. is on air live, obviously. By that time of that 11 a.m. broadcast, I might have for you the results. If not, I will have the results for you for evening's LA tonight at 5 o'clock because that show has not been taped yet. The final vote in the Senate, only the Senate, of the bipartisan will be this Saturday morning. So then what happens next? What happens next is they will immediately start voting on the recon. Now, let me pause for a second and go to the most important thing you need to understand about all the procedural elements, starting with first in order. The most important thing about first in order is the House and the president, not Leader Schumer. Yes, Leader Schumer said the recon was going to go for a vote first in the Senate. He's not doing it. But that doesn't impact us negatively whatsoever, because the only persons that keep us protected are Nancy and the president. Here's what you need to know. First, the president has said, do not put on my table in the White House just the bipartisan, or I won't sign it. You have to put on the table the bipartisan and the recon together. That's number one. Number two, Nancy is perhaps 9,000% more important than the president. Why? She has said emphatically, do not send me in the House from the Senate, where Chuck is, just the bipartisan by itself and not with the recon, or the bipartisan goes in the wastebasket. She has 100% authority to do it. She's the leader she's the Speaker of the House, and she has the right to never call for a vote. It's the reverse of what we saw in 2020, where Nancy passed stuff in the House, sent it to Mitch McConnell, and he said, I'm never calling for a vote, and he never did. He threw the stuff in the wastebasket. So let me go through each of the people's statements one at a time to show you why Nancy has your back, we're protected, we're fine, and the president has you protected, we're fine. First, the president of the United States. He made it very clear. You have to put on his desk in the White House both bodies of legislation together, recon and bipartisan. First, he says, as a bipartisan, the bipartisan, as voted on, the bipartisan, if it only comes to me, and this is the only one that comes to me, I'm not signing it. It has to come to me in tandem, recon and bipartisan. Then he says, the bipartisan, I'm not just signing just the bipartisan and forgetting the rest of what I propose, the recon. I propose a significant other piece of legislation, the recon, and they're both equally important to me. All right, now let's turn to Nancy. Nancy had a meeting with Bernie, not this Thursday, but the Thursday before that, and she said, I'm not changing my position, thank goodness. She said, you have to send me both bodies of legislation, both the recon and the bipartisan, to the House from the Senate. Or, if you don't, I'm never calling the bipartisan for a vote. In fact, the quote I'm about to read you, when Nancy said it, she used words that were so aggressive, so emphatic, that she clearly knew, having done this just a couple of years, that the quote was going to be reprinted over and over again. Today, the quote is in no less than 3 articles because it's a very powerful quote, and she knew people were going to run this quote over and over again. This is the quote. As I said, there won't be a bipartisan unless we have the recon bill first. Plain and simple. In fact, I use the word ain't. There ain't going to be a bipartisan unless we have the recon bill passed by the United States Senate as well. So, oh, also Jalopal says the same thing. Now remember, Jalopal, she's in the House like Nancy is. Chuck is in the Senate. And Jalopal says the House members will never vote on the bipartisan. They'll never vote on it if you only give them the bipartisan. We did a poll of our House Democrats, and the overwhelming majority said they're never going to vote on the bipartisan if it doesn't come with the recon together. All right, so to recap just on that, we're protected. The roads and bridges will, by all accounts, pass the Senate today. Most reports say it will pass today. First of all, it will pass, and they also say it will pass on Saturday. The voting is set to start by 9 a.m. And that once it passes, what's next? Leader Schumer, the Republicans, everyone confirms that as soon as the bipartisan passes, the immediate next thing is to start the vote-a-rama on the recon in the Senate. The vote-a-rama is usually 2 days. So how soon could the vote-a-rama start? It could start today. It could start Sunday. If not, it starts Monday and would be potentially concluded by Tuesday. I don't think Leader Schumer will put them in session on a Sunday. And if today takes a long time, maybe he'll say, come back on Monday, and we start the recon on Monday for 2 days of vote-a-rama. By all accounts, if Leader Schumer's timeline is correct, we could have both the recon and the bipartisan passed by the Senate by around Tuesday or Wednesday. Then it goes over to the House, and then they start working on it. Let me go over timelines for now for you for that. Then the House starts to modify stuff. That could take a few days to the end of this week. And if they modify anything, the House, it goes back to the Senate for another final vote before the president signs it. All right, let me go over the issue of in session. The Senate is in session. The House is not in session. The House will be ordered back into session within 24-hour notice by Steny Hoyer's order or Nancy Pelosi's order. So that means much of nothing. So if the House is ready to start working on both bodies of legislation this coming Wednesday, they'll be ordered back into session. Here's an interesting thought that just came to my mind, by the way. If for some reason the recon doesn't get done and just the bipartisan is done, Nancy's not calling it back into session. She's not going to call the House people back in session for roads and bridges. She's not going to do it. She'll call them back into session when they're both ready to go. So if they're both ready to go by Wednesday, the House will be back into session approximately. All right, now let's go to the substance, which is really very, very important. I'm going to hit this very hard over the next few days. We don't currently have the recon bill as of Saturday morning. We could see the recon bill by Saturday afternoon. We could see it. But when we see it, that's not law. I got to say this very emphatically. We have an emoji for it. It's not law yet. When the recon debuts, if it's wrong, it will get modified. If it's right, it will also get modified. Why? Because the Senate Democrats and the House Democrats have both said they're changing what's in that recon. Why? Because the only people who have had their hands on the recon over the last few weeks have been subcommittee members of the House. And that's not a lot of people, just a few people. The Senate Democrats is 50 people. The House Democrats is over 100 people. They say, I want to modify stuff. I want to modify stuff. That's good for us. If you've been with me since day one, you have seen where legislation sometimes has nothing in there and then it's added. Has something in there, it's the wrong amount, it gets changed. Has something in there and it has wrong eligibility, it gets changed. If there's anything that is very obvious, it's the following. The House has a lot of progressives in there, more than the Senate. The Senate will have the first opportunity to modify it during the two-day vote-a-rama. Then the House can modify it again. And guess what? The House progressives have been really well oiled and working great in recent days. If the House progressives, Jalapal, Bush, Nancy, AOC, want to modify something when they get it, they will modify it. And that is why I go back to Representative Bush from St. Louis. Representative Bush embodies the purple power spirit because using her as an analogy for the recon, she started the week by hearing the president say, I'm not doing anything for your eviction moratorium. It won't hold up in court. I'm not going to touch it. Sorry, it's expired. She didn't sit back and say, okay, that's the end of that. I'm done. Thank you. I'm done. No, she was like a purple power spirit, push back. And she didn't just push back. She had a Capitol sit-in on the Capitol steps for every night until the president took note and said, no, you have to do the eviction moratorium. And AOC did the same thing, and Nancy did the same thing. They pushed and pushed and pushed until it got in there. I haven't covered the student loan debt repayment moratorium was extended overnight. And that was a result of Elizabeth and Chuck and others in the Senate fighting for this for months. I mean, they never gave up. They've been fighting tooth and nail. So you don't give up purple power. If you see the recon and there's something incorrect in there, you need to push. Finally, what's important for you to know is that the senators are getting tired. They've been in Senate session now for the longest duration of almost a decade. They're working on weekends, no less than 3 weeks in a row, 16, 14-hour days, and some of them are over 85 years old. They say they're exhausted. That works in your benefit because they're not going to come with knives and forks to try to butcher the recon. They're going to lose a lot of energy. And that's going to help us get to the finish line. Meantime, join me next on Mornings Crypto because Bitcoin and Ethereum are zooming to the moon. Join me next at noontime at 11 a.m. where we'll see the latest update live on air of what's happening with that Senate vote on the bipartisan. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video and consider becoming a member so you get this big sums of money. Coming up next is Morning Crypto Live, noontime live at 11. And then new shows today at 3 o'clock with Afternoons LA at 3 evenings LA at 5. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful morning, and stay with LA for more.